Hi and welcome to Westpac's end of day report for Monday, August the 22nd. Very interesting day today. It started off actually with a lot of media talk about problems in the Greek banking system in particular. I won't go into them in detail because I don't want to scare people, but there also this is about a bank that may be about to go bust in Greece, which would be the first victim of the sovereign debt crisis. However, there are also rumours about much larger banks in other parts of Europe also experiencing some liquidity difficulties at the moment. However, these reports and rumours were largely ignored by European markets. The focus instead was very much on the speculation about or hope for something from Bernanke when he gives his Jackson Hole speech on Friday this week. That's August the 26th. This was the event at last year where he kind of hinted that there'd be a second round of quantitative easing, which was subsequently delivered in November of last year, and is largely associated with very strong performance in equity markets around that time. That's what investors want to see. We're not convinced they're going to get it as soon as this week, although our view at Westpac is that we will actually see another round of quantitative easing. It won't be until next year. But obviously time will tell whether the markets were right to hope for that or not. The other thing to mention is that we had Mortgage Banker Association of US data on defaults and delinquencies, foreclosures in the US housing market. For the second month running, a bit of an uptick has come through there, which is a little bit surprising because they have actually been falling steadily from a peak of above 10% of all mortgages being delinquent. The peak was in the first quarter of last year, so we had a run of lower results, but they've started pushing up again. That could be another sign, I suppose, of the difficulties that the US economy does now seem to be in, with unemployment now rising again, and GDP growth, of course, having been revised down quite sharply last month. Okay, that's about it in terms of the data front, but I'll give you some market information now. It's just quite interesting to see the direction of trade. We saw on equities, European markets up as much as 2–2.5%, depending on which market you look at. But then the US market opened up well over 1%. But since then, it's just been a steady drift lower. In fact, the Dow, as I speak, is actually only up 0.3%. Now, it's only 5:15 in London, so just heading into the US lunchtime. Anything could happen later this day, but that's where things are standing at the moment. It seems like with the Americans on board, this optimism about Bernanke giving us something in his speech on Friday, that seems to be diminishing somewhat as the day progresses. On the commodity markets, we had, we've seen a weaker dollar today because of that QE sort of speculation that's been coming through. That's meant that most commodities were higher, although that's now pulling back a bit. Those gains are now being lost, given that the equity markets seem to be looking a little bit softer as I speak. But oil's still up, just 0.1% though, at $82.30 a barrel. Gold is doing very well though. It's up more than 2% today, $1,893 an ounce. Gold just can't do any wrong. It's benefiting today from anti-inflation status or safe haven from inflation status, I think related to that speculation about QE. And for Australia, copper prices, just always worth a mention. They're the ones that actually aren't faring at all well at the moment, down 1.25%. Oh, I do need to mention too that the Brent oil price, which is much more impacted by what's been happening in Northern Africa, actually has fallen quite sharply on the speculation that Gaddafi's days are numbered, and that we'll see Libyan oil output pick up very sharply once the revolution, the military activity is over. Picked up very quickly in Iraq after April 2003, and the speculation is that we'll see a similar development in Libya. But that's having more of an impact on the Brent price, pulling it lower, than it is on the West Texas price I quoted you earlier. Other things worth mentioning, oh yes, of course, Rick Bartolino, Deputy Governor of the Reserve Bank. He's speaking at 2 p.m. Sydney time. I doubt he's going to steal any thunder from RBA Governor Glenn Stevens, who's giving his semi-annual testimony down in Melbourne on Friday. So my punt is we probably won't hear anything too new, but you never know. And on that, the Aussie dollar, it's at, well actually it started the day at 103.60, rose to about 104.70 at the equity market's peak, but it's pulled back a bit now. It's down at 104.20 as I'm speaking at the moment. So yeah, about the middle of the range, okay, of the range of today. Okay, I'll speak to you again tomorrow.